This presentation is to accompany the book Consumer Behavior, a Primer by Gail. How do consumers make decisions? Sometimes consumers make rational, well thought out decisions, other times not so much so. For example, when offered a choice between a 1-cent Hershey's candy or a truffle for 16 cents, 75% choose the truffle. When offered a free Hershey's candy or a 15-cent truffle, 69% choose the Hershey's. Now in both situations, the difference between the Hershey's and the truffle is 15 cents. But as we can see, 15 cents is not always 15 cents. Free makes 15 cents worth less. Offered these 3 bottles of wine, the $57 bottle of wine may be selected infrequently. It is, after all, the most expensive choice by a considerable amount. But if we add a 4th choice at $115, suddenly $57 is not so expensive any longer. The $57 bottle of wine may now be the choice of more patrons. We really don't expect to sell many bottles of the $115 wine. It's offered as a decoy. Logically, consumers who spend $45 to buy jewelry, whether at a sales price or at the everyday low price, is still spending the same amount, $45. But that's not how consumers see it. Consumers see buying jewelry at the everyday low price of $45 as spending $45. They see buying jewelry at the sales price of $45 from its regular price of $60 as saving $15. $45 is not $45. On average, owners of this mug will sell it for about $5. On average, customers will offer $3 to buy it. Why this difference in price? Ownership adds value to the item. This is true not just for mugs, but for stocks and bonds to candy bars and tickets to the Super Bowl. Which of these 2 glasses holds more liquid? Most people, including experienced bartenders, will tell you that the tall skinny one holds more, even though they both hold the same amount. This makes you wonder if consumers drink less when they drink from a tall skinny glass than from a short fat glass. When consumers are given bigger servings, they eat more. People given larger containers of popcorn eat more of the popcorn than people given medium-sized containers. This is true for popcorn that is fresh popped, as well as for stale 14-day-old popcorn. How many M&M candies people eat depends on the variety of colors. People eat more M&M candies if the M&Ms are of different colors than if they are all of the same color. Of course, M&M candies taste the same to consumers regardless of the color. Consumers are asked to pick up and examine 2 irons and indicate which one is heavier. The majority of consumers say that the black iron weighs more. In fact, both irons weigh the same. Here are 3 samples of pudding labeled R, S, and T. Consumers are asked to taste them. Then they answer a questionnaire asking them to choose the one that is the highest quality, the one that is most chocolatey, the one that is creamiest, and the sample that is the highest price. They choose R as the most chocolatey, highest quality, and the one that they would pay the most for. They choose T as the creamiest. But the thing is, these are not samples of chocolate pudding. They are vanilla pudding dyed various shades of brown. Even when people were told that this was vanilla pudding, people didn't believe it. In the jam study, consumers in one store were offered 6 jars of jam to sample and then given a $1 coupon to buy jam. In the same store, at another time, consumers were offered 24 jars of jam to sample and then given a $1 coupon to buy jam. Here are the results. More people stopped when there were 24 samples of jam to sample than when there were just 6 samples of jam. But more people bought a jar of jam when they were offered 6 types of jam rather than 24. It seems that when people are offered 24 choices, they become so overwhelmed with too many choices that they decide not to choose. Being paralyzed into inaction by too many choices is not restricted to just choices of jam, but also applies to much more important decisions such as participation in 401k retirement plans. It is better to participate in such plans for one's long-term financial welfare, especially if your company matches part of your retirement contribution. But as these results show, participation decreases as the number of investment choices offered increases. Recently, when Procter & Gamble cut its Head & Shoulders product line from 25 to 16, profits rose 10%. Less choices led to more profit. Similarly, when General Motors shrank its brands from 8 to 4 in 2009, dealers reported a 16% increase in sales. How many choices are presented here? If you're American, you will probably say you have 7 alternatives, 7 brands from which to choose. If you're living in Eastern European countries like Russia, you will probably say 1 alternative. Not having been exposed to a lifetime of advertisements, they see a single category called soda, not 7 different brands. At first blush, some consumer decisions may not make much sense, but the study of consumer behavior gives us clues to understand why consumers behave the way they do and help us to make sense of what doesn't make sense.